Welcome to the Wedding Songs Podcast, featuring newly released songs you need to know and the tried and true classics. Get song ideas from the time guests arrive until the last dance of the reception. And now your host, Matt Campbell, founder of MyWeddingSongs.com.
Hi everybody, I'm Matt Campbell and welcome to the 20th episode of the Wedding Songs Podcast. At the time of this recording is Wednesday, June 3rd, and tonight I'm going to be talking about 100 great oldies songs to play at your reception and parties. Now all of this list is going to be by alphabetical by artist, so if you have your own list you can definitely follow along, and if you prefer to read the list you can do so on our website, MyWeddingSongs.com. So let's go ahead and get started with our first song on the list, R-E-S-P-E-C-T by Aretha Franklin, released in 1965. This is definitely a female anthem and fits in great to any party atmosphere that will have everybody singing and dancing along. I'm feeling the good vibrations. The Beach Boys released this hit in 1966, and also in 1963, Surfin' USA. Would you stand By Me by Ben E. King, released in 1961. This song is still popular today and was even featured in the royal wedding with Meghan Markle and Prince Harry. It's in His Kiss. The Shoop Shoop song by Betty Everett, released in 1964. Nope, I'm not talking about the Shoop song by Salt and Peppa much later in the 90s. 1, 2, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, rock around the clock by Bill Haley and the Comets, released in 1954. You may remember this song was also featured on the TV series Happy Days. Bobby Darin released his hit Mac the Knife in 1959. Many other people have covered this song, including Louis Armstrong, Frank Sinatra, and Michael Bublé. Another very popular song released in 1958, Rockin' Robin, tweet, 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 tweet. Bobby Day, a definite song that will have everybody singing along and tapping their toes. That'll be the day that you make me cry. That'll be the day by Buddy Holly and the Crickets, released in 1957. Too bad that he passed away too early in a plane crash in 1959 with other artists including Ritchie Valens, the Big Bopper, and the pilot Roger Peterson. Famously coined by Don McLean, it was the day that music died. The next song on our list, you typically think of Elvis Presley singing, but no, it was Carl Perkins, Blue Suede Shoes, released in 1956 for those rockabilly fans. A very popular parent dance song was released in 1964 as a Broadway hit to Fiddler on the Roof. The cast sang Sunrise, Sunset. The next song is primarily an instrumental song. Tequila by the Champs was released in 1958. If you remember the verse, How Low Can You Go, was on the song Limbo Rock by Chubby Checker, released in 1962, and also his mega hit The Twist, Come On Baby Let's Twist, released in 1960. One of the greatest guitar players of all time, Chuck Berry, released his hit Johnny Be Good in 1958, and one of the founders of rock and roll, one of the members of the Rat Pack, Dean Martin, released That's Amore in 1953. Dion has two hits on our list, the first one being Run Around Sue, released in 1961, and also in 1961, The Wanderer. Both of those are classic swing songs that you'll have lots of people on the dance floor. A very popular wedding song is Going to the Chapel and We're Gonna Get Married. The Chapel of Love was released in 1964. And speaking of instrumentals, the next song by Duane Eddy is Rebel Rouser, released in 1958. I have DJ'd a few weddings that they've had a dance to this song, much like Moni Moni and a few other mega hits. And this one was released in 1958 for rockabilly fans that will have everybody in that party party mood. Another rockabilly hit by Eddie Cochran, Summertime Blues, released in 1958. One of the few jazz songs on our list is My Funny Valentine by Ella Fitzgerald, was released in 1956. As you know from Ella Fitzgerald, we're now in the E's, so the next artist is the one and only Elvis Presley, and he has 5 songs on our list of greatest oldies songs of all time, with the first one alphabetically is I'm All Sugar, released in 1957. The King continues on with one of the greatest love songs of all time, I Can't Help Falling in Love with You, released in 1961. You Ain't Nothing But a Hound Dog, released in 1953. And Jailhouse Rock, released in 1957. And also Love Me Tender, Love Me True. This one is actually categorized as a country song. So you have Elvis singing country, rock, blues, pop, you name it. He was the best, and that's why he's the king, with Love Me Tender, released in 1956. Right after Elvis, I'm going to categorize this next song as the greatest wedding song of all time, released by Etta James. At last, my love has come along, released in 1960. One of the best boy bands before there were boy bands is the Four Tops, released I Can't Help Myself, Sugar Pie Honey Bunch, released in 1965. Because of the reference to sugar pie, a lot of people choose to play this as they're cutting their wedding cake. Now that we're to the F's, we're down to Frank Sinatra, and he has 4 songs on our list of greatest oldies, with the first one being released in 1954, Fly Me to the Moon. The next Frank Sinatra song was the theme song to Married with Children, called Love and Marriage, released in 1955. Be a Lady Tonight is a great song to play for all the ladies. And if you want a classic bouquet toss song, released in 1963. And finally, the last Frank Sinatra song is a great father-daughter song, or just a dedication to the bride, is The Way You Look Tonight, released in 1964. Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons, released in 1967. Can't Take My Eyes Off of You makes for a great slow dance song to play during your party. One of the greatest pop jazz songs of all time for weddings is Moon River, originally produced by Henry Mancini. There has been great covers of this song recently, including Frank Ocean. Next is 2 songs by Jackie Wilson. Your Love Keeps Lifting Me Higher, released in 1967, and also To Be Loved, released in 1958. The 39th song on our list is another surf song, just like the Beach Boys. This one is by Jan and Dean, Surf City, released in 1963. This Magic Moment by Jay and the Americans, released in 1969. Goodness Gracious, Great Balls of Fire by Jerry Lee Lewis, released in 1957. Yeah, he got in a lot of trouble by marrying a young lady, but this song is still a great party song. Sugar Shack, because of the name Sugar, it makes for a great song to play while you're cutting your wedding cake, released by Jimmy Gilmer and the Fireballs in 1963. Johnny Mathis is one of the greatest pop artists of all time, and I selected Chances Are, released in 1957. If you're looking for a choreographed song to play at your wedding, be sure to check out Johnny Otis's great hit Willie and the Hand Jive, released in 1958. Another great party song is Louie Louie, Louie Louie by the Kingsmen, released in 1957. Come on everybody, do the locomotion, originally done by Little Eva, released in 1962. And there was actually a rock version by Bachman Turner Overdrive later on. The recently passed away Little Richard released Good Golly Miss Molly in 1958. A great wedding song to play at any moment is What a Wonderful World World by Louis Armstrong, released in 1967. If you're looking for a classic swing song, then check out Jump, Jive, and Wail by Louis Prima, released in 1958. And it was also released much later by the Brian Seltzer Orchestra, who is actually a member of the Stray Cats. This next song, I think we always think of the Rolling Stones doing it, but I actually like the original by Martha and the Vandellas, Dancing in the Street, released in 1964. Now, I only have one song on here by Marvin Gaye. He's definitely on many other lists on our website, but I chose I Heard It Through the Grapevine, released in 1968. And like I said, he has many other hits like Let's Get It On and duet songs with Tammy Terrell as well that you should be checking out. If you're looking for a classic father-daughter song, then Daddy's Little Girl by the Mills Brothers was released in 1950. Devil with the Blue Dress, Blue Dress, Blue Dress, Devil with the Blue Dress On by Mitch Ryder, released in 1966. A great way to end the evening is one of my favorite artists of all time, Nat King Cole, and his song The Party's Over, released in 1956. And another song that he produced, Unforgettable, released in 1952. You could play this version or a later version with his daughter, Natalie Cole. One of the greatest sing-along songs of all time if you're in the Boston area. Not so much if you're in the New York area, just because it's played a lot at the Boston Red Sox games. But for us on the West Coast, we really don't care about that. And I gotta say, Sweet Caroline, bum, 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 released in 1969 by Neil Diamond, will have everybody singing along. Talking about singing along, Sittin' on the Dock of the Bay, released by Otis Redding, is a great song you just sit there and drink an alcoholic beverage to in 1968. But also his love song, These Arms of Mine, released in 1962. Otis definitely has two big hits that he released. Percy Sledge released When a Man Loves a Woman. No, I'm not talking about Michael Bolton. It's Percy Sledge and his hit released in 1966. Just for the kids in attendance is Put Your Left Foot In, Put Your Left Foot Out, The Hokey Pokey by Ray Anthony, released in 1953. The next song was made more popular by the movie Ghost, and that is Unchained Melody by the Righteous Brothers in 1965. And talking about movies, the next song became popular because of Top Gun and You've Lost That Love and Feeling, released in 1964. Ba-la-la-la-la-bamba by Richie Valens, released this hit in 1958. Angel Baby by Rosie and the Originals in 1960. 'Cause I'm a soul man. No, I'm not talking about the Blues Brothers. I'm talking about Sam and Dave's version, released in 1967. Sam Cooke is on our list with You Send Me, and a great love song released in 1957. A great party song on the list is Wooly Bully, Wooly Bully by Sam the Sham and the Pharaohs, released in 1965. I guarantee if you have a toga party, you definitely have to play this song. One of the greatest duet songs of all time by Sonny and Cher, I've Got You Babe, released in 1965. Did you know that they actually had a TV show? If not, maybe you could check it out on some of the streaming services. Give Me Some Lovin' by Spencer Davis Group. And did you know a member of the Spencer Davis Group is Steve Winwood? This song was released in 1966. One of the greatest father-daughter songs of all time, My Girl, My Girl, My Girl by The Temptations, released in 1964. Next up, I'm going to get to all of the artists that have the in their name. So starting off with the Archies, Sugar, Sugar, Oh Honey, Honey, released in 1969, makes for another great cake cutting song. The Beatles have 3 songs on our list. The first one makes for a great processional song or recessional song. All you need is love, love, love. 1967. I saw her standing there. No, I'm not talking about the Tiffany version. It's the Beatles song released in 1963. And actually, the lead singer of Green Day released a cover of this song, Billy Joe Armstrong. The last Beatles song is one of my favorites, Twist and Shout, released in 1963. A definite must-play party song. Do you love me? The Contours released this song in 1962, but do you remember it was also featured in the movie Dirty Dancing? The Crests and 16 Candles is a very popular doo-wop song released in 1958. The Drifters are on our list twice, with their first song making for a great last dance song of the evening titled Save the Last Dance for Me, released in 1960, and also Under the Boardwalk Down by the Sea, released in 1964. Dream, 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 dream. All I Have to Do Is Dream by the Everly Brothers, released in 1958. In the Still of the Night by the Five Satins, released in 1956, and also their popular wedding song To the Aisle, released in 1957. I Only Have Eyes for You by the Flamingos, released in 1959, and Build Me Up Buttercup is a great cake cutting song if you have cupcakes by the Foundations, released in 1968. You Make Me Wanna Shout by the Isley Brothers, released in 1959. However, many people choose the version by Otis Day and the Knights, released in 1978. From what movie? National Lampoon's Animal House. The Monkees are on our list twice, with their first one, Daydream Believer and a Homecoming Queen, released in 1967. And the year before, I'm a Believer, released in 1966. And you'll also have to check out the version I'm a Believer by Smash Mouth. The Platters are on our list 3 times from this popular doo-wop band of the 1950s. Only You, released in 1955. Smoke Gets in Your Eyes in 1958. And also in 1958, the popular Twilight Time, which makes for a great first dance song. Another very popular song that I used to play as a last dance for a slow picture moment time. Good night, sweetheart. Well, it's time to go. Du, 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 du. Good night, sweetheart. Good night by the Spaniels, released in 1954. The Temptations have 2 hits, and their first one, Ain't Too Proud to Beg, released in 1966. And no, I'm not talking about the TLC version with Left Eye. The next song by the Temptations, My Girl. Hey, I was just checking to see if you were paying attention. I actually mentioned them a little bit before, so you actually get 99 songs instead of 100. Let's see if you remember this next song, A Lover's Concerto by the Toys, released in 1967. One of my friends actually had this next song as their first dance, Love Is All Around by the Trogs, released in 1967. If you're wanting a newer version, be sure to check out the version by Wet, Wet, Wet. 'Cause I'm Happy Together by the Turtles, released in 1967. Could be a great recessional song. Hopefully you're happy now that you've said the I do's and you're married. If you ever watch the show Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, then you definitely know this next song. It's Not Unusual by Tom Jones, released in 1965. Well, why was this popular on the show? Well, Carlton used to do the Carlton dance to this song. Tony Bennett's hit I Left My Heart in San Francisco was released in 1962. One of the best party songs again by Van Morrison, who's actually from Scotland, released Brown Eyed Girl in 1967. And with 2 songs left, Mustang Sally, My Baby by Wilson Pickett, released in 1966. And Good Lovin' by the Young Rascals, released in 1966. And that rounds out our 100 greatest, or I should say 99 greatest oldies songs of all time. If you want to read our list, you can do so on myweddingsongs.com. If you have any questions or want to discuss any of the songs, please go to our Facebook group, Wedding Songs Chat. Thanks for listening and have a great day.
Thank you for listening to the Wedding Songs Podcast. Never miss a future episode. Subscribe today to our podcast. Follow us on Facebook at My Wedding Songs and send us a message about playlists you would like covered.